Next. Order.
Order number 7, statement.
Next. Next order.
Paper 2023. Relating to the approval of the county fiscal strategy paper and for purposes, Mheshimiwa from Kasigao to second.
Thank you. I rise to second.
Honorable members, I propose the question that, notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order number 208/7 relating to provisions of County Fiscal Strategy Paper and Debt Management Strategy Paper, this House resolves to extend the period of Strategy Paper and Debt Management 3 by a period of 14 days from 14th March 2020. For purpose of sectoral hearings. Mheshimiwa Omidi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Especially considering the importance of the CFSP, the document, and what it signifies and what it stands for. Being the base document for our expected budget, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important for us to give it enough time that all departments are engaged and involved fully, so that as we arrive at the ceilings and the priority projects, we are all in agreement as a county government. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to thank the leadership of the House for bringing up this motion so that we get enough time to engage between departments and the assembly, so that the document that comes out of it will guide this county for the rest of
Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Adoption and approval of the report 179 2B of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Public Appointments, County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, and the Taita Taveta County Assembly Standing Order number 187-4. This third county assembly adopts and approves the report by the Committee on Appointments on the vetting of nominees, the positions of the County Executive Committee laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013. Mr. Speaker, sir, maybe I just pick a few excerpts of this report for the purpose of the plenary and to urge members to support the report in its totality, the report by the by the Public Appointments Committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Section 35 of the County Governments Act and Section 6 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 2017, His Excellency the County Governor Andrew Mwadime nominated Mr. Eric Johnson Kiongo for appointment as CCM for Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Irrigation. Also, he appointed Ms. Christine Mabondo Mwakera for appointment as CC for Trade, Tourism, Cooperatives, Development and Industrialization. Dr. Panuel Mwaeke was also nominated as CCM for Devolution, Public Service and Administration, and also Mr. Martin Tairo Masege was nominated for appointment as CCM for Public Works, Infrastructure and Transport. Mr. Speaker, sir, the nomination of the four persons was conveyed to the clerk and of the Assembly through a letter dated 16th February 2023, accompanying the nominees' curricula vitae and testimonials that were attached therein. It is also good to note, Mr. Speaker, that upon submission of the nominees' names to the House by the Governor, after forwarding the names, another letter came from the Governor dated 17th to withdraw a nomination of one Madam Ms. Christine Mabondo Mwakera from the list of nominees for the position of County Executive Committee member, Department of Trade, Tourism, Cooperatives, Development and Industrialization, to allow the Mombasa petition number E017 of 2012-2022, Josephine Marura Mwatibo versus County Assembly of Taita Taveta Committee on Appointments and others to be concluded. Mr. Speaker, sir, by the withdrawal of the name of Ms. Christine Mabondo Mwakera, the Assembly was left with three names to proceed with the process of vetting and approval, and the names were for Architect Martin Tairo Masege, Dr. Panuel Mwaeke, and finally Mr. Eric Johnson Kiongo. Mr. Speaker, sir, from the vetting that was conducted, the committee checked on the suitabilities, met all the requirements of Chapter 6 PCI and Higher Education Loans Board that is held. We also found that the nominees had not been charged. There was no evidence that the nominees had ever been charged in court of law like in the past 3 years. It was also an observation of the committee that the nominees have never been dismissed from office, and Article 76 on financial probity, Article 77 on restriction on activities, and Article 78(2) on dual citizenship, all these sections of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Also, it is under the observation of the committee that all the three nominees demonstrated knowledge of topical, administrative, and technical issues touching on their departments, their respective departments, and in observation of the foregoing observations, Mr. Speaker, the committee reached on the following recommendations. Having conducted the approval hearings for the nominees pursuant to Section 35 of the County Governments Act and Section 6(9) of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approvals Act number 5 of 2017, the committee recommends that this House, 1, approves the nomination of Dr. Panuel Mwaeke for appointment as CCM for devolution, public service and administration by His Excellency, the County Governor of Taita Taveta. 2, that this House approves the nomination of Architect Martin Tairo Masege for appointment as CCM for Public Works, Infrastructure and Transport by His Excellency, the County Governor of Taita Taveta. And 3, Mr. Speaker, sir, that this House approves the nomination of Mr. Fisheries and Irrigation by His Excellency, the County Governor of Taita Taveta. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, in observation of the recommendations of the Public Appointments Committee, I therefore kindly urge and request this House, for purposes of moving fast or marching against time, we approve the 3 names of these pending CCMs as we look forward to the case that is in court, tying the Department of Trade not to get a CEC, a substantive CEC, due to that case in court. So we're still praying. So maybe our sister, the Holy Spirit, will visit her in due course and look at the greater and the wider picture of Taita Taveta so that we can move ahead as a county. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I call upon Honorable Minority Leader, Member for Runingu Kishushe, to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to second. As I second, allow me to make few contributions. As we all know that the election was done last year on 9th August, and the same month the governor was inaugurated, and also us the same month of October and so forth. And until now, we had approved the other CCMs, and these ones were pending. And we have seen those who are the other CCM who are given the acting capacity in these departments, a lot was not happening. And it really gave us a lot of challenges on the ground. Like, let's take, for example, myself as an elected member of Runingu and Kishushe. It was so tricky for me to follow up. Like when I was following up on the matters of the roads in Runingu and Kishushe, it was so difficult to me to follow up with the Honorable Katu, the CECM who was acting and he was also holding a very strong department for finance. So everything was not moving. Same to agriculture. My place is an agricultural area. We had an issue with the Brookside, that is the cooling plant, and the Brookside was moving out, and we could not get any assistance because the honorable member, the CECM Wanabiro, was so busy occupied on the water department. So I think it is good if we all members will adopt this report and move on, and we elect these ones to go and serve us. Then we give them only 1 month. We see how they are going. We don't give them many days. Let's give them only 100 days to ensure that the pending projects and supplementary budget, they are being implemented. Failure to which we start calling one after one, summoning them here. As some also, they say they are ready to resign and something like that. And I said the other day, I like being controversial with saying the truth, but don't mistake me with the Deputy President Gachagua. What I want to say is this: when they fail after 100 days to complete the project in my ward, Honorable Speaker, I'll be the first ones to summon them here, because we expect the service delivery. We expect work and we expect nothing. We don't expect us, we are approving them here, for them to go and pash moshing in Taita, tuseme kuchambia viti via the waziris in the seats and rolling around and big stomachs, and they're not working for us. So I second this. Apologies for using those words. I withdraw if it is not ethical.
Mheshimiwa, withdraw.
I withdraw the words which are not parliamentary language.
Withdraw that word. Mheshimiwa. Okay, Mheshimiwa Kifuso, yeah, just use parliamentary language, and you can only use English and Swahili, and you know very well when you start using Swahili, use Swahili to the end, English to the end. The other language is foreign to us. Honorable members, I propose the question that, pursuant to provisions of Article 179 2B of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, as read together with the Section 35 of the County Government Act 2012, Section 9 of the Public Appointments, the County Assembly Approval Act 2017, and the Taita Taveta County Assembly Standing Order number 187/4. This third County Assembly adopts and approves the report of the Committee on Appointments on the vetting of nominees of the positions of the County Executive Committee, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 2013. Honorable members, the floor is open for debate.
As goal, and we need to give these people work to do. There's a lot that is pending, and I just call upon this House to go ahead and approve the nominees so that they can start the business. we are waiting for them to see the development. Support this the motion. A few remarks. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mheshimiwa Taraya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for having given me this opportunity to contribute in this motion. First, I begin by saying I support this motion fully. And Mr. Speaker, before I say that I'm supporting this motion fully, I want to say that, Mr. Speaker, I looked and I went through the CVs of the three nominees. I checked on the CVs word by word, Mr. Speaker, and in the CVs of these nominees, Mr. Speaker, they demonstrated a lot of prowess in the respective departments that, Mr. Speaker, they sought to be appointed or to be approved to be CCs in the respective departments. Mr. Speaker, I also checked on these nominated nominees as they walked in to the appointment committee, Mr. Speaker, and just the way they walked in, they proved to me that they can serve very well in those respective departments. And Mr. Speaker, I was very keen in following their respective answers in respective questions, and they demonstrated a lot of prowess and a lot of efficiency in the service delivery. And Mr. Speaker, I can say with no doubt that these members, given an opportunity, they can deliver in their respective departments. Mr. Speaker, these departments that these members we are approving to come and hold on as CECs, Mr. Speaker, we had people that they were acting in those respective departments. And Mr. Speaker, CECs that were acting in those positions, they were highly struggling, and having these CECs in position, Mr. Speaker, is going to be a very big relief to the management of the affairs of our county. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm calling upon my honorable members to support this motion fully so that we can have
Mheshimiwa Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. For giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand here to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we see these CCMs, they are in key dockets in this county. Mr. Speaker, sir, as here we are, the rain season is around the corner. And as we know, in the Department of Infrastructure, we'll need such people in place on the same agriculture and lands, Mr. Speaker. So, and as I saw, this CC are going to bring that energy to this county and serve Mwananchi well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I stand to support.
Yeah, Mheshimiwa Mzula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the Appointments Committee for having done due diligence in the vetting process. Mr. Speaker, that suits the executive, and there will be the other arm of the government. The drafters after going through the vetting process, they failed to meet the threshold, and the public transport, agriculture, and the other one. And I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, as the deputy
is over, Mr. Speaker, and it was very obvious that we had to go the way we went. I want to thank all those who participated in the exercise. for the diligence that was displayed. It's unfortunate that, Mr. Speaker, we still have one CEC member who still is yet to be. But since it is a court process, we have no choice but to respect it. But I want, or I'd rather propose that the matter be followed so that it's expedited and completed as soon as possible, so that every and each CEC member, or rather each docket has a respective CEC member in place. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say much. I support the report as tabled today. Thank you so much.
Mheshimiwa Mukala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And I stand in this honorable house to support this motion and this report by the able committee. First, I want to congratulate them for the good job they did. I do believe these are three main departments in this county that I do believe, Mr. Speaker, we have overwhelmed and we have overworked the acting CECs, and it is the right time for us to act as required in this honorable house to approve this report, so that we enable those CECs to undertake their respective duties in their respective department, Mr. Speaker. I've had a chance to interact with some of them, those who are acting in that capacity, and it was so evident that, Mr. Speaker, they are already overwhelmed and they are unable to they are able to operate some duties which are time-consuming and they are so demanding, Mr. Speaker. So I do believe it's quite in order for this House, Mr. Speaker, without much time. I know we are already time-bad. We should have this government fully constituted by now. And I do believe that we need to do this, approve these members, so that we are able to hold some members accountable for job not done well or well done. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion, and I agree that all members should be able to support this motion to enable service delivery of this county so that we can better the lives of people of Taita and Taveta. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I invite the motion mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'd like to thank the members that have given their generous contributions towards this motion. And those that have not done so, I know we are redeeming time because we have several reports to dispense this afternoon. And with that spirit, we also want to save time accordingly. And once again, urge members that we adopt this report in its totality as we proceed to take the vote, that all of us shall be in unison, so that from today we shouldn't be receiving any form of reasons and blame games from the other side of the government. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, with those few remarks, I beg to reply. Thank you.
Honorable members, I put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Article 179 2B of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, as read together with Section 35 of the County Government Act 2012, Section 9 of the Public Appointments County Assembly's Approval Act 2017, and the Taita Taveta Assembly Standing Order number 187/4, this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the Committee on Appointments on the vetting of nominees to the positions of the County Executive Committee laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I'm going to invoke Standing Order number 38, paragraph 2, and move to order number 13 and 21 respectively. Mheshimiwa Dorcas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to move a motion on the adoption and approval of the report on the vetting of the nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Devolution, Public Service and Administration, Mr. Habib Mohamed Murutu, and also the nominee for the position of Special Programs and Service Delivery. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I will start with Mr. Habib Murutu, that this House adopts and approves the report by the Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services and Drugs Control on the vetting of the nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Devolution, Public Service and Administration, Mr. Habib Mohamed Murutu, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 13, and its recommendation thereof. Mr. Speaker, the committee having considered the nominees a field questionnaire pursuant to the first schedule of the Public Appointment County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 2017, his CV, and having had his oral submission during the approval hearing, made the following observations on his suitability for appointment as the CCO in charge of Special Programs and Service Delivery. 1, that the nominee meets the requirement of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity, having obtained clearance from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, and is a beneficiary of Higher Education Loans Board, and has fulfilled his obligation towards the university loan scheme as provided by the law. 2, that the nominee has not been charged in a court of law in the past 3 years. 3, the nominee has never been dismissed from the office under Article 75 of the Constitution for contravention of the provisions of Article 75(1), conflict of interest, Article 76, financial probity, Article 77, restriction on activities, and 4, that the committee observed that the nominee demonstrated knowledge of topical, administrative, and technical issues touching on the portfolios to which he had been nominated and had the requisite position, abilities, academic qualifications, and professional experience to be approved for the appointment to the position of County Chief Officer. Mr. Speaker, the committee observed that the nominee met the integrity threshold, demonstrated knowledge of topical, administrative, and technical issues touching on the portfolios to which they have been nominated, and had the requisite abilities, academic qualifications, and professional experience to be approved for the appointment as County Chief Officer, Special Programs and Service Delivery. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. I repeat, the committee observed the nominee met the integrity threshold, demonstrated knowledge of topical, administrative, and technical issues touching on the portfolios to which he had been nominated and had the requisite abilities, academic qualifications, and professional experience to be approved for the appointment as County Chief Officer, Devolution Public Service and Administration Department in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Section 45, read together with Section 31C of the County Government Act 2012 and Section 4 of the Public Appointments County Assembly Approval Act Number 5 of 2017. Having conducted the approval hearing for the nominee pursuant to Section 45, read together with Section 31C of the County Government Act 2012 and Section 6 to 9 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act Number 5 of 2017, the Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services and Drugs Control recommends that the House approves the nomination of Mr. Habib Mohamed Murutu, County Chief Officer, Devolution, Public Service and Administration. I submit, Mr. Speaker. I call upon Honorable Member from Ngolia to second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. While I stand to support this motion, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to make some few comments on this particular nominee. First of all, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the committee for doing a very good job, and also, Mr. Speaker, the committee for being open and giving a chance to all members, all honorable members of this House to participate in that exercise. Mr. Speaker, this particular nominee, I was very much interested. I had an interest in this particular nominee because he was coming from a very high institution known in the government. So, Mr. Speaker, I was impressed by the candidate, the way he explained himself, and he looked very focused, he looked very understanding, and all the questions which were posed to him by the honorable members, those who participated, especially the appointment committee, he answered them so well. So, Mr. Speaker, I wish the candidate all the best, and I stand to support Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I propose that this House adopts and approves the report by the Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services, and Drugs Control on the vetting of the nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Devolution, Public Service and Administration, Mr. Habib Mohamed Murutu, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013, and its recommendations thereof. Honorable members, the floor is open for debate. Honorable Taraya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support. In fact, I stand to support this motion, and I thank the Committee on Administration and Devolution for the job well done and burning the midnight oil, just to ensure that all is very well. Mr. Speaker, I know this particular nominee in person. Mr. Speaker, I know how he speaks. I know his passion. I have sat with him in several boards of management, Mr. Speaker, and I can tell for sure and guarantee the members in this House that when we give this nominee an opportunity to serve, I am very sure it's going to be an asset in the county government and not a liability, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I am honestly requesting all the members in this House to support this nominee, Mr. Speaker, because I know with him he's bringing a wealth of experience in the county government, Mr. Speaker, and is going to assure improvement in service delivery in our county government. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I stand to support.
Honorable Anissa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hereby stand to support the report, Mr. Speaker. I, being a member of that particular committee, the vetting of the nominee was thoroughly done, well investigated, well soul-searched. A long conversation took place. So many things were put into consideration. That's how we reached at the resolve that is deserved to serve in this particular docket. I don't want to say much, Mr. Speaker. I support the report because I participated fully from the word go to the end. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I now call the motion mover to reply.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I stand to reply.
Honorable members, I now put the question that this House adopts and approves the report by the Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services and Drugs Control on the vetting of the nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Devolution, Public Service and Administration, Mr. Habib Mohammed Mrutu, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013 and its recommendations thereof. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order. Chair, Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move a motion on the adoption and approval of the report of the Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services, and Drugs Control on vetting of nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Special Programs and Service Delivery, that the Third County Assembly adopts and approves the report of the Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services and Drugs Control on vetting of Mr. Harrison Mukala Mwamkono for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Special Programs and Service Delivery, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 13, and its recommendations thereof. Mr. Speaker, the committee made the following observations. first schedule of the Public Appointment County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 2017, his CV, and having him his oral submission during the approval hearing, made the following observations on his suitability for appointment as the County Chief Officer, Devolution, Public Service, and not public service but special programs. Yes, sorry. On devolution of service delivery, special programs and service delivery. Mr. Speaker, the committee observed on the suitability of the nominee and that the nominee meets the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity, having obtained clearance from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, the Kenya Revenue Authority, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and Higher Education Loans Board. The nominee has not been charged in a court of law in the past 3 years. The nominee has never been dismissed from office under Article 75 of the Constitution for contravention of the provisions of Article 75(1), conflict of interest, Article 76, financial knowledge of topical, administrative, and technical and professional experience to be approved for the position of County Chief Officer. And therefore, the committee recommends the approval hearing for the nominee pursuant to Section 45, read together with Section 31C of the County Government Act 2012 and Section 6 to 9 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 2017. The Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services, and Drugs Control recommends that the House approves the nomination of Mr. Harrison Mukala Momkono for the appointment of County Chief Officer, Special Programs and Service Delivery. I call upon Honorable.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services, and Drugs Control on vetting of Mr. Harrison Mkala Momkono for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Special Programs and Service Delivery, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013 and its recommendation thereof. Honorable members, the floor is open for debate. What is amusing, honorable members? Well, no, members, people are raised differently, and pronunciation is also different. So maybe you have to bear with the chair. With the pronunciation, depends with the village that he was raised in. However, the debate, the floor is open for debate, honorable members. Honorable Anissa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a committee member on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services, and Drugs Control Committee, I stand before this Honorable House to support the report as laid before this Honorable House by our able Chair, Honorable Dorcas Mulugu. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable members, it seems members want to redeem time, and I'm not seeing any member upstanding to make a contribution. It seems one, Mr. Momkonu, did well, and members are just about to make a decision whatsoever, but I'm not anticipating. Honorable members, I call upon the motion mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I stand to reply.
Honorable members, I now put the question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the Committee on Administration, Security, Devolution, Public Participation, Community Services and Drugs Control on vetting of Mr. Harrison Mukala Momkonu for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Special Programs and Service Delivery, laid on the 2023 morning sitting number 013 and its recommendations thereof. Will as many of that opinion say, of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order. I think we can resume from the order 38. Clerk.
Order number 10, motion, adoption and approval of the report on the vetting of the nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer, Health Services, Ms. Violet Mkamburi Mukala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity.
Chair Health. I've not granted you permission to move. Otherwise, I would have invoked standing order number 38. We skip and we move to the orders that are ahead. Then you can close. You be the final one. You seem to be in a hurry. But all the same, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I stand to move a motion on adoption and approval of the report on the vetting of the nominee for appointment to position of county through them. Committee observation on the suitability of the nominee. The committee, having considered the nominee field questionnaire pursuant to the first schedule of the Public Appointments, County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 20, County Chief Officer, Health Services. Number 1, that the nominee meets the requirement of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity, having obtained clearance from Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, the Kenya Revenue Authority, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, and Higher Education Loans Board. Number 2, that 3 years. Number 3, that the nominee has never been dismissed from office under Article 75 of the Constitution of topical administrative and technical issues touching on the portfolios, the requisite abilities, academic qualifications, and professional experience to be approved for appointment to the position of county chief officer. Mr. Speaker, the committee observed that the nominee met the integrity threshold demonstrated of topical administrative and technical issues touching on portfolios which they had been nominated and had requisite abilities, academic qualifications, and professional experience to be approved for appointment as County Chief Officer Health with Section 31 C of the County Governments Act 2012. And Section 4 of the Public Appointments are having conducted approval hearing for the nominee person to Section 45, read together with Section 31C of County Governments Act 2012 and Section 695 of 2017, the committee on Mukala, County Chief Officer Health Services. Mr. Speaker, well, I think it's in the right move because the CCOs are the engines of the executive. Now, them being in place, I think activities will now begin to flow smoothly. Ours, Mr. Speaker, is to see that they discharge their mandates in accordance to the law, failure to which our doors are open for them to pay visit to us. And answer the questions that which may not be moving in the right direction, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, health is very, very vital in us. And I call upon facilities have been actually improved. Why am I saying so, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I see this is the right timing. We have a report to table. Executive won't have claims or rather excuses on them not reporting to us. The report which we are about to table has a lot of issues, and I sure thank the committee for this move, which I think in so doing will fasten up the process of execution and also on ensuring that the services move, health services moves in the right direction. With not all honorable Peter Shambi Mwamae to second. Thank you.
Chair Health, I think some of these names are alien to this house. And I can't remember if we have a member by the name Peter Shambi Mwamae in this house. Therefore, kindly call the right member to second the motion, or else this motion might die a death. Meaning,
Speaker, I condemn the member for tarnishing my parliamentary title, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I hope you'll be very careful that this impressed with the performance of this nominee, Madam Violet Mkamburi. She did exceptionally well. She was composed. She looked very experienced, and she played her part. And I pray that this House would approve the report that eventually, with those few remarks, I beg to second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th. Motion mover, reply.
I stand to reply, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now put the question that this House adopts and approves appointment of County Chief Officer Health Services, Ms. Violet Mkamburi Mukala, laid on the table of this House of a contrary opinion, say nay. The ayes.
Vetting of Ms. Rina Andamo Mwanake, Gender, Sports, Culture and Social Services.
Yes, Chairperson, Youth and Sports.
The Joint Committee on Youth and Sports and Gender and Culture on vetting of Ms. Rina Andamo Mwanake, nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Youth, Gender, Sports, Culture and Social Services. That this third County Assembly 5 1. Conflict of interest. Article 76, financial probity. Article 77, restriction on activities. And Article 78, 2, dual citizenship of the COK 2010. 4. That no memoranda was received from the members of the public contesting the suitability of the nominee to the position despite notifying the public of the same void and advert dated 24th February 2023. 5. That the nominee demonstrated knowledge of topical and does have the requisite abilities, qualification, and experience to serve as the CCO for Youth, Gender, Sports, Culture, and Social Services. She possesses training in youth, gender,
the Public Appointments and County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 2017. Committee recommendations. Having conducted the approval hearing of the nominee pursuant to section 31C and 45 of the County Government Act and section 69 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 2017, the committee recommends that this county assembly approves Mr. Mcharo Stephen Maluga for appointment by Honorable the county governor to the position of County Chief Officer, Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. Mr. Speaker, sir, I call upon Honorable Rosie Shingira to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. As I stand to second the motion, I have few words to say about former Honorable Mcharo. Honorable Mcharo is so passionate on his work, and his passion is to serve this county of Taita Taveta. Though he served in the last regime, the last assembly for a short while in Mbale Undanyi ward, but his passion was to serve the whole county. And since he has gotten this opportunity and the agriculture is his field, I know he's going to do so well and is going to perform. I wish him well and congratulations to him. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on vetting of Mr. Mcharo Stephen Maluga for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013, and its recommendations thereof. Honorable members, the floor is open for debate. Majority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this motion, and you have seen me rising very fast because I wanted to pass a message. Mr. Speaker, I've worked with Mr. Mcharo in this House. First of all, I wanted the honorable members to know Mcharo is a church person. He's a very honorable person. And Mcharo, Mr. Speaker, he has been very, very honest and well-focused. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Mcharo is an asset to this Taita Taveta County government. And I want to assure Jimmy Mwamidi, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Jimmy Mwamidi, he is not going to be embarrassed or inconvenienced by Mr. Mcharo at all, at all, at all. And he's going to he's going to do that observation, and we are here, and he should not panic. Let him relax. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I highly stand to support this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For the purpose of gender, Honorable Kavuki, the floor is yours.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Nashukuru kwa nafasi hii, kwani nimesimama kuunga mkono uteuzi wa Bwana Stephen Mcharo. Kulingana na historia ile Bwana Mcharo alieleza, alisema hii kazi mkono, mtu ambaye amesomea kazi yake ni suti tumpatie, kuonyesha yeye ana ujuzi wa kuendesha hii wizara ya kilimo. Pia Bwana Mcharo, siku ile tukimhoji na vile alikuwa anaongea, alikuwa anajibu maswali kwa ustaha mkubwa wa Bwana Stephen Mcharo. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Honorable Shambi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I stand for the following reasons, Mr. Speaker. First and foremost, I know Mheshimiwa Stephen Mcharo in person. I have worked with him, and I know what he is capable of. And Mr. Speaker, let me say for the records that I, standing here as Peter Shambi, I do not know any other person in this country who has agricultural experience and prowess like Honorable Stephen Mcharo. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity to send a message and a signal to some of the people out there who have been struggling all the time to try and dim people's stars, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as Honorable Jones has said, that man is an asset. And I'm saying he's an asset because he's many things into one. Number one, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Mcharo has a wealth of knowledge on matters agriculture, as has been exhibited even in... I'm sure this House that alongside all that content that Mr. Speaker has, Mr. Honorable Mcharo has, he's also a very humble person, Mr. Speaker. He's a humble person, he's a very good listener, he likes learning even from those people who people think do not know. And he's also a very intelligent man, even by listening. But one thing that comes out of Mr. Mcharo every time I speak to him is his ability of interpreting very technical and complex matters into very simple and understanding, and you know, in a very simplified manner, Mr. Speaker. I've seen many times when Mr. Mcharo is speaking to members of the community, and the way he interprets very complicated aspects of agriculture to the local mwananchi down there, it is something that has always left me perplexed. Very few people, Mr. Speaker, have that kind of acumen. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I rise here for the records to vehemently support my position of supporting this motion, Mr. Speaker, and also urging my honorable colleagues that we should very fast approve when we see talent, Mr. Speaker, that is going to help the people of Taveta County. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to second once again. Thank you.
Member for Wundanyi Mbale, Honorable Jimmy Mwamidi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute and actually support this motion. As I support it, Mr. Speaker, it is an all-house accepted fact that Mr. Mcharo, seated in this same house, we listened to him answer to questions, and he mesmerized this house with his knowledge around matters, his passion for the people of Taita Taveta. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm not only supporting Mr. Mcharo because he's a voter in my constituency, I'm supporting him for what he portrayed on this floor, that he's capable of delivering. And for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'll be one of the happiest persons to have this House approve the appointment of Mr. Mcharo for the docket. And let there be no fear in anyone's mind that for whatever reason, I don't know what led to some insinuation and the feeling that the honorable member for Wundanyi Mbale, the most able Jimmy Mwandembe Mwamidi, who one tried to curtail the luck and the chances of his people from getting position within the administration of the government of Taita Taveta. Mr. Speaker, sir, far from it. If anything, if I could be given more chances, I'll have all my worthy competitors appointed, because I believe in the field of the competition that we were in, we had some of the elites of Taita Taveta. Still, there are 13 more who have not received appointments. If by chance the governor listens to this, I still need one more appointment for at least one of my worthy competitors. Mr. Speaker, sir, I just want to support this motion and beg this House, even with the love they have for me, Mr. Mcharo is my brother and real a blood brother. So there is no way he can work against me. He can only work for the people of Taita Taveta and support the nobility that we pursue. Mr. Speaker, sir, I had to add that one because I wanted to clear that notion that may have been conjured out as to reassure everyone else. But that notwithstanding, Mr. Mcharo and his position. Mr. Mcharo earned it on the floor of the House, and it is in Hansard. So let nobody take it away from him, that for whatever reason he's been given this appointment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, as I beg to support this motion.
Honorable Member for Sagala.
Asante Bwana Spika, mimi sitakuwa na mengi. Nimesimama tu kuunga hoja hii mkono na pia akupongeza kamati hii ambayo au kamati husika ambayo imetengeneza ripoti hii. Kwa hivyo ningependa tukusema ya kwamba katika miaka ya nyuma wakati nilikuwa nafanya kazi katika kaunti hii katika idara ya maji, basi nimefanya kazi na Bwana Mcharo na ni mtu namjua utendaji kazi wake. Kwa hivyo tumefanya kazi pamoja na ni mtu wakati wote ya jioni. Kwa hivyo ni mtu ambaye anapenda kaunti hii na anajua kwamba tukimpatia Bwana Mcharo nafasi hii basi ataleta uboreshaji mkubwa katika kitengo cha kilimo katika kaunti hii. Kwa hivyo kwa hayo machache na waomba na kuuliza wenzangu waheshimiwa ili tuunge mkono ndugu yetu Mcharo mheshimiwa ili ofisi hii. Asante Bwana Spika.
Motion mover, call upon motion mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to reply.
Honorable members, livestock and fisheries on vetting of Mr. Mcharo Stephen Maluga for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013 and its recommendations thereof. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, sometimes when members rise to describe of a certain member who has several caps that are being identified with, who is also a religious leader, who is many caps. So that's what I was trying to hear from this nominee. However, honorable members, next order.
Order number 15, motion, adoption and approval of the report of the Committee on Early Childhood Development Education, Libraries and Vocational Training, and ICT.
Chairperson Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Libraries and that this third county assembly vetting of appointment to the position of county chief office for education of this house on Tuesday 14th March 2023 morning sitting number 013 and its recommendations therefore. Mr. Speaker, sir, that the committee having considered the nominee field questionnaire pursuant to the first schedule of the public appointments county assemblies approval act number 5 of 2017 her curriculum vitae and having had her oral submission during the approval hearing made the following observations on her suitability for appointment as county chief officer for education, libraries, VTCs and ICT. Mr. Speaker, sir, that the nominee meets the requirements of the leadership and integrity, having obtained clearance from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Kenya Revenue Authority, the Director of Criminal Investigations and Higher Education Loans Board. That the nominee has not been charged in a court of law in the past 3 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, that Article 75(1), that is conflict of interest, and Article 76, financial probity, Article 77, restriction on activities, and Article 78, dual citizenship of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. That no memorandum was received from the members of public contesting the suitability of the nominee to the position despite notifying the public of the same via an advert dated 24th February 2023. That the nominee demonstrated knowledge of topical and has the requisite ability qualifications and experience to serve as county chief officer.
Question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the Committee on Early Childhood Development, Education, and its recommendations thereof. Honorable members, the floor is open for debate.
I have reasons to support. This motion.
Kuja. For seeing women, and I know things will work out so well. Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you so much, and I support this motion.
Motion moved. Reply. Honorable members, I now put the question that of the contra opinion say nay.
Adoption and approval of the report of the Joint Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperative Industry and Cooperative Development.
This third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the joint officer for the trade, tourism, industry and cooperative development. Laid on the table of this House on the Tuesday the observation and the finding on the suitability of the nominee. The Joint Vetting Committee, having considered the nominees' field questionnaire pursuant to the first schedule of the Public Appointments and having had his oral submission during the approval hearing, made the following observation on the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity, having obtained clearance from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, and Higher Education Loans Board, HELB. 2. That dismissed from office under Article 75 of the Constitution for contravention of the provision of Article 75(1), conflict of interest, Article 76, financial probity, Article 77, restriction of on activities, and Article 78(2), dual citizenship of the Constitution. 4. That the nominee demonstrated knowledge on topical concerns, administrative and technical issues touching on Department of Trade, Tourism, Cooperatives, Development and Industrialization, the County Chief Officer for Trade, Tourism, Cooperative Development and Industrialization. Mr. Speaker, the committee had the following conclusion. The Joint Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperative Development and Tourism concludes that the nominee for the position of the County Chief Trade, Tourism, Cooperative Development and Industrialization met the integrity threshold, demonstrated knowledge of topical administrative and technical issues touching on the portfolio to which been nominated, and had requisite abilities, academic qualifications and professional experience to be approved for appointment as the County Chief Officer in accordance with the Section 45 of the County Governance Act 2012 and Section 6 to 9 The committee's recommendation. Mr. Speaker, the committee recommends the following. Having conducted the approval hearing of the nominee pursuant to Section 31C and 45 of the County Government Act and Section 9 to Section 6 to 9 of the Public Appointments Industrialization. Mr. Speaker, I ask Honorable Anissa to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I again stand before this Honorable House to second this motion. Mr. Speaker, the exposure that was displayed during the vetting of this gentleman was so massive. That can be used to make the department one of the best in 006. His professionalism, Mr. Speaker, speaks for itself. He was candid and had all the information at his fingertips. Mr. Speaker, the gentleman was very sober, he was composed and ready for the that were entrenched in the department. He was nominated for. My reasons enough to support this motion. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, my reasons enough to second the motion. Thank you so much.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report Paul Manenos Indeo for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Trade, Tourism, Industry and Cooperatives Development. Laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013 and its recommendations thereof. Honorable members, the floor is open for debate. Honorable Tondo.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, lugha mufti ya Kiswahili kwa hoja hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga hoja hii mkono Mheshimiwa Spika kwa sababu zifuatazo. Mheshimiwa Spika, hawa ni baadhi ya vijana ambao kila wakati wanasiasa wakienda kuomba kura wanasema kwamba vijana ni viongozi wa kesho. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, hiyo kesho sasa hivi itaenda katika viwango vingine. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia kijana huyu ni mtu wa, na imani katika sekta hii ambayo amepatiwa masoko nayo yatatolewa na kupelekwa katika viwango vingine. Kwa hiyo nina kila aina ya sababu Mheshimiwa Spika ya kuweza kuunga hoja hii mkono, na nina imani ya kwamba wabunge wenzangu ambao wako hapa pia wataweza kumuunga bwana huyu mkono ili aisaidie Taita Taveta kwenda katika viwango vingine. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga hoja hii mkono.
Member for Maho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity so that I can contribute toward the motion. And first of all, let me congratulate the committee. Being a member of this committee, I was one of those who participated in the vetting, and for sure the nominee was very strong. He articulated himself very well. And out of the look and from what he has been doing in his career, he has been dealing with business. He has been a banker. And of course, Bwana Speaker, looking even the body, you could tell. Very comfortable when you look at him. And also, Bwana Speaker, this docket needs an investor. Taveta will bring 6 million. as an improvement of sales collection. So to me, I can say we having this nominee in this particular docket. I think to us at Taita Taveta, we might be very much proud. I call upon the House, let us give this Paul Sendel an opportunity to serve this county, and of course we might realize a lot of changes. In these few remarks, Speaker, I raise to support. Thank you.
Okay. Is one person I got a chance to work with him way back in 2009 in Barclays Bank, and I can say his nomination. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Member for Marungwad.
Asante Bwana Spika, kamati hii, ikiwa mimi pia ni mwanakamati, kwa kuweza kumkagua Bwana Sendeu ili aweze kuwa CCO katika mwasibu katika idara hii. Kwanza ningependa bwana mheshimiwa wa Maho Kimuyu, kuna mahali amekosea kidogo kusema ya kwamba Bwana Sendeu alisema ataongeza uchumi milioni 6. Ningependa kumkosoa upande huo. Bwana Sendeu alisema Taveta peke yake ataweza kuinua uchumi milioni 500. Taveta peke yake, na karudi akasema tena Taita Taveta mzima ataweza kuleta milioni 100. So kwa sababu hiyo mimi nampongeza na namsapoti kabisa Bwana Sendeu aweze kupatiwa kazi hiyo, na naamini kabisa Mr. Speaker, bwana huyu Sendeu ataweza kutupeleka mahali. Kwa hayo machache, mimi na support Bwana Sendeu ataweza kupewa hiyo kazi. Asante sana Bwana Speaker.
Honorable members, I now put I call upon the motion mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think with the reaction of the members, I will have nothing to add, so I beg to reply.
On the Third County Assembly adopts and approves the report of the Joint Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives Development and Tourism on vetting of Mr. Paul Maneno Sendeu for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Trade, Tourism, on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013, and its recommendations thereof. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 17, motion, adoption and approval of report of the Joint Committee on Lands and Human Wildlife Conflict Resolution and Environment, Natural Resources, Forestry and Mining on vetting of Mr. Jimmy Mkamburi, Mutawa, nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Lands, Physical Planning, Mining and Energy.
Chair,
I beg to move a motion, adoption and approval of reports of the Joint Committee on Lands and Human Wildlife Conflicts Resolution and Environment, Natural Resources, Forestry and Mining on vetting of Mr. Jimmy Mkamburi, nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Lands, Physical Planning, Mining and Energy. Mr. Speaker, sir, will allow me to go through the report from the field questionnaire pursuant to the first schedule of the Public Appointments County Assembly's Approval Act number 5 of 2017, his curriculum vitae, and having had his oral submission, during the approval hearing, made the following observations on his suitability for appointment as CCO for lands, physical planning, mining, and energy. Mr. Speaker, sir, that the nominee meets the requirement of Chapter 6
of the order paper before you get into the body of the report. So kindly track your steps. Maybe you are trying to redeem time.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will start again. I beg to move a motion of adoption and approval of report of the Joint Committee on Lands and Human Wildlife Conflict Resolution and Environment, Natural Resources, Forestry and Mining on vetting of Mr. Jimmy Migori Mutawa, nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Lands, Physical Planning. The report of the Joint Committee on Lands and Human Wildlife Conflict Resolutions and Environment, Natural Resources, Forestry and Mining on vetting of Mr. Jimmy Migori Mutawa for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Lands, Physical Planning, Mining and Energy, laid on the table on this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013, and its recommendations therefore. Mr. Speaker, sir, you allow me to read the report of Mr. Jimmy Migori Mutawa. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Joint Committee, having considered the nominees, filed questionnaire pursuant to the first schedule of the Public Appointments, County Assemblies Approval, Act number 5 of 2017, his curriculum vitae, and having had his oral submission during the approval hearing, made the following observations on his suitability for appointment as CCO for Lands, Physical Planning, Mining and Energy. That, number 1, the nominee meets the requirement of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity, having obtained clearance from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, ESCC, the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, and the Higher Education Loans Board, HELB. 2, that the nominee has not been charged in a court of law in the past 3 years. 3, that the nominee has never been dismissed from office under Article 75 of the Constitution for contravention of the provisions of Article 75, 1, conflict of interest, Article 76, financial probity, Article 77, restriction on activities, and Article 78, 2, administrative and technical issues touching on the portfolio to which he had been nominated and had the requisite abilities, academic qualifications, and professional experience to the approved for appointment as County Chief Officer in accordance with Section 45 of the Country Governments Act CGA, and Section 6 of the Public Appointments, County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 2017. Having conducted the approval hearing for the nominee pursuant to Section 31C and Section 45 of the County Government Act, CGA, and Section 6 to 9 of the Public Appointments, County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 2017, the Joint Committee recommends that this House approves the nomination of Mr. Jimmy Migori Mutawa for appointment as CCO for lands, physical planning, mining, and energy by HE, the County Governor of Taita, Taveta. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I was going through the CV of the way Mr. Mutawa was answering questions, this guy had knowledge, and the guy, Mr. Mutawa, was having confidence by answering questions. And when I went through his CV, I saw that he has knowledge in law. He has once been security personnel. So I beg my fellow members that they should support and approve this guy, because this job he can do. I call upon Honorable Chairperson of the Environment and Natural Resources, Forest and Mining, Honorable Amos Makalo, to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take this moment before I second to make some few remarks concerning the nominee Jimmy. To be specific, Jimmy Mutawa, not that to be confused with our fellow member here, Jimmy. To be specific, Jimmy Mutawa, whom I have happened to be in attendance during his interview, Mr. Speaker. And I was convinced, not only on the documents, but again how he was able to articulate and show his understanding on the law, Mr. Speaker. It was convincing to me that, as my fellow chairperson of land has said in this house, that the land needs someone who has some understanding and legal background, and I was convinced that Jimmy Mutawa is well informed, according to how he was able to articulate and convince us, Mr. Speaker, in our joint committee. Again, Mr. Speaker is a gentleman, and you could see from his energy, he's looking security expert, according to his CV and his work experience, Mr. Speaker. And that looks in that portfolio, Mr. Speaker, in itself is able to convince us that Mr. Jimmy Mutawa is equal to the task. And that's why it's very noble for this House, Mr. Speaker, to come strongly to support and give this young man or this gentleman a chance to serve this beautiful county of ours, Mr. Speaker. And with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I second the motion and I second the report. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question. That this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the Joint Committee on Lands and Human Wildlife Conflict Resolution and Environment, Natural Resources, Forestry and Mining on vetting of Mr. Jimmy Mutawa for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Lands, Physical Planning, Mining and Energy, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia opportunity hii. Kwanza kabisa napenda kuunga hoja hii mkono moja kwa moja kwamba Bwana Jimmy Mutawa ni sahihi kabisa apatiwe approval ya kuweza kuongoza docket hii katika hiyo position ya Chief Officer, na kwa mtazamo wangu mwenyewe na kwa mtu ambaye namfahamu Jimmy, ni mtu ambaye yuko na qualifications zote. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza niseme tu governor alitumia hekima ya kipekee kwa kuchunguza matatizo ambayo mashamba yetu pamoja na ardhi zetu bila kwa amequalify kabisa kisheria, na pia hauwezi kutatua matatizo ya mashamba yetu na madini yetu na mazingira yetu bila kuangazia swala la usalama. Na tukiangalia huyu bwana yuko very much qualified katika masuala ya usalama. Amehitimu kikamilifu katika masuala ya kiusalama. So tukua na yeye tumekamilika vilivyo. Na pia ikitokea mahali kwamba nitakao tutoe kauli ya kusitisha mabwenyenye kuchukua ardhi zetu, nyote mtakubaliana na mimi kwamba yule bwana yuko na sauti na anaweza akatishia mabwenyenye na pia wakaogopa kuingia katika ardhi zetu. So Bwana Spika, mimi kiukamilifu kabisa nasema huyu bwana apewe kazi mapema asubuhi kabisa kwa kauli moja na bunge hili, ili aweze kwenda kutusaidia katika utendakazi katika kitengo hicho ambacho tumempatia. Asante sana Bwana Spika, na naomba kuunga hoja hii mkono.
Honorable Rose.
Asante sana Bwana Spika, nasimama kuunga hoja hii mkono ya kwamba Bwana Jimmy Mutawa Migori apewe nafasi katika kitengo hiki, kwa sababu tuliona ni mweledi wa mambo mengi. Kulingana na masomo yake, yeye ni mwanasheria. Kwa upande wa ardhi, mambo ya wanyamapori pia kutuhangaisha, ataweza kusaidia pakubwa kaunti hii. Vile vile kwa mambo ya security amesaidia pia, ataweza kutusaidia pakubwa kwa sababu ana ueledi wa kazi hii akiwa afisa wa magereza, mahali alikuwa anafanya mbeleni awali. Madam Speaker, Speaker atasaidia pakubwa sana huyu bwana akishirikiana na bunge hii kwa utendakazi. Vile vile tunaona kwa upande wa madini kuna marupurupu yetu ambayo yako kule upande wa kitaifa, na atashirikiana na seneta na viongozi wetu wote pamoja na bunge hili ili tuweze kufaidika kama kaunti hii kupata hayo marupurupu. Nasimama kuunga hoja hii mkono, Bi Speaker. Asante.
Asante sana Bi Speaker.
Yes. Matoli.
Sana Bi Speaker, niseme pia mimi naunga mkono hoja hii na nimkaribishe kijana mwenzangu Mutawa apate nafasi hii, aje tupambane na mabwenyenye. Kama mnavyojua tuna matatizo makubwa sana ya ardhi, na si wizara rahisi, lakini kulingana na yeye na vile tulimhoji hapa, naona yako sawa kabisa katika hii nafasi. Kwa hiyo niseme tu naiunga mkono hoja hii ama ripoti hii, na naomba wale wengine tuiunge mkono. Asante.
Mheshimiwa Nisa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand again before this Honorable House to support this noble motion. Mr. Speaker, why I support this gentleman? First, he's a youth. He sounded fearless and determined to take up the job. Being a security personnel, I want to believe he has a lot of discipline instilled in him. Having a legal background is also an added advantage, because most land matters involve indulgence on laws of the land. He must be conversant, and I want to know that he's very conversant on laws that govern his docket, that's the land's docket. His ability and capability was well displayed during the
Asante sana Madam Speaker kwa kunipea hii nafasi na mimi niweze kuchangia pia. Nachukua fursa hii kumpongeza kijana ambaye ameweza kutuonyesha anaweza, na hapa kumechange guards sasa tutatumia lugha hii wakati ninaongea. Kumpongeza kwa hii nafasi ambaye ametunukiwa, kwa sababu ni kijana ambaye ni mkomavu, ni shujaa, na niko na uhakika ile sauti alitoa hapa hata mimi ilinipendeza, kwa sababu wakati huu tumezingirwa na mambo ya uvamizi wa mashamba yetu, na niko na uhakika ile sauti akitoa kitu ya kwanza hata wao watajua kuna mwanaume ameingia mahali pale. Akiwa na ule kuwa amesomea wanasheria, pia ni mbinu mzuri sana ambayo itaweza kumwezesha kuweza kutusaidia, kwa sababu mambo na mashamba mpaka ukuwa unajua sheria. Kama hujui sheria basi itabidi na wewe uchengwe. Kwa sababu hiyo mimi naunga mkono Bwana Jimmy Mutawa kwa hii nafasi. Asanteni sana.
Member Maho.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker ambayo imeletwa bungeni. Nikiweza kueleza kwamba mimi pia ni mwanachama wa hiyo kamati. Tuliweza kumhoji huyu bwana huyu nominee ambaye ile chaguo, na acha niwaambie ni kwamba ni kijana mzuri, strong, ambaye yako na nguvu ya kufanya kazi nzuri. Yeye mwenyewe anatoka maeneo yangu, na ndio sababu nina furaha kuweza kumuona mkinifurahisha, kwa sababu kwa njia moja ama nyingine, the other time I was discouraged when a speaker, niliweza nimechanganya lugha kidogo, lakini ule wakati mwingine si bunge niliweza kuwa chini, kwa sababu baada ya kuona mwenzangu hajapata ile nafasi. Kwa hivyo ninashukuru sana kuona kwamba nimeweza kuamka kuona kwamba Mutawa anafaa, na tukimpa hii nafasi ninaamini kwamba ataenda kufanya kazi nzuri. Mheshimiwa Speaker, mimi sina shida na baba mdogo yule, ana uwezo wa kufanya kazi nzuri, na kwa machache ya maneno nataka kuchukua fursa hii kumtakia kila mema katika hiyo nafasi mpya ambayo anaenda kuchukua. Tuko tayari kumuunga mkono na kumwezesha ili kuweza kutimizia watu wa Taita Taveta County. Namtakia kila la heri na Mungu abariki. Kwa machache naomba kukomea hapo. Asante Mr. Speaker.
Mheshimiwa Rose Sariki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, once again for giving me this opportunity to support Mr. Jimmy Mutawa. And I want to state before this honorable house that I know Mr. Jimmy because he was once my classmate back in Maho Primary. And I can attest that he He's a very composed young man. And I want to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate Mr. Jimmy Megrori Mutawa, for he has posed as a role model to the youths of this county and our county as a whole. And our dear brothers from the forces, dear brothers and our sisters from the forces, that when they upgrade their education, they can always attain their dreams. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I take this opportunity to support him. Thank you so much.
Motion mover, reply.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. First, I'd like to say thank you to the honorable members for contributing and supporting Mr. Jimmy Megrori Mutawa for appointment of the position of the County Chief Officer for Lands. I'd like to beg other honorable members also to support and approve Mr. Jimmy Megrori Mutawa for appointment of the position of the County Chief Officer for Lands, Physical Planning, Mining and Energy. In that few remarks, I beg to reply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Now, honorable members, I put the question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the Joint Committee on Lands and Human Life, World Conflict Resolution, the Environment, Natural Resources, Forestry and Mining on vetting of Mr. Jimmy Megrori Mutawa for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Lands, Fiscal Planning, Mining and Energy, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning sitting number 013, and its recommendations thereof. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 18, motion, adoption and approval of report of the Committee on Water and Irrigation.
Honorable Bryson Mwambi, Chairperson Water.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to move a motion, adoption and approval of report of the Committee on Water and Irrigation, nominee for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Water and Sanitation. That this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of Water and Irrigation on vetting of Mr. Reuben Kitololo for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Water and Sanitation, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, morning number 013, and its recommendations thereof. Again, Mr. Speaker, let me take this time again to go and read the committee observations on the suitability of the nominee and also the committee recommendations. So I start. The committee, having considered the nominees' field questionnaire pursuant to the first schedule of the public appointments, County Assembly's Approval Act number 5 of 2017, his curriculum vitae, and having had his oral submission during the approval hearing, his suitability for appointment as County Chief Officer for Water and Sanitation Services. 1, that the nominee meets the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity, having obtained clearance of Articles 74, that the nominee met the integrity threshold demonstrated knowledge of topical, administrative and technical issues touching on the portfolio to Approval Act number 5 of 2017, the committee
adopts and approves the report of Water and Irrigation Committee on vetting of Mr. Reuben Kitololo for appointment to the position of County Chief Officer for Water and Sanitation, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 14th March 2023. Morning sitting. (013) and its recommendations thereof. Honorable members, the floor is open for debate.
Water Committee, but coming from Bololo, the subject of water is very pertinent in my life. Ever since we are growing, we've always had a shortage of water in Bololo. I sat through the vetting of Reuben Kitololo and I was impressed. He answered all the questions articulately. He took us through his experience journey in his related water projects, including some of them in Taita, Taveta. He did a lot of this with a lot of encouragement. I believe he's the best candidate for this job. If we give him this job, the problems of water might be a thing of the past in Taita, Taveta County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Ng'ang'ana na shida ya maji, na Mheshimiwa Spika, ukitaja shida ya maji Taita Taveta County haitawezekana ukose kutaja Mbololo. Manake Mbololo kama kwangu maji niliona mwisho kwa mfereji wa kwangu nyumbani miaka 20 iliyopita. Kwa hivyo mimi nasikia furaha nyingi sana kwamba gavana wa jimbo la Taita Taveta aliona kwamba mwenye anavaa kiatu anajua mahali kinapomfinya. Akaona hii shida ya maji ikipata CCO kutoka Mbololo, basi maji yasipofika Mbololo na yakifika Mbololo yamefika Taita Taveta. Tunapomaliza shida ya maji kwa zile sehemu ambazo ziko kavu zaidi Taita Taveta, kama kwa ndugu yangu Mheshimiwa Amos Kasagao, nitembea pale kwake ni jambo la maana sana kwamba Kitololo alikuja, na licha yote Mheshimiwa Spika, Kitololo pia alikuja na akajitetea vilivyo, alijitetea kabisa. Akamwaga makaratasi hapa za kuonyesha tajriba yake kubwa katika masuala na maji. Ingawaje muda wake mrefu hajakuwa kufanya Taita Taveta, lakini hii ni fursa muhimu sana amepewa na kaunti hii, ili angalau watu wa Taita Taveta waweze kupata maji. Kwa kawa hayako maarufu sana pale nje, lakini nasikia raha nikilala Kitololo. Nafikiri kwa sababu kwa kupatiana information ama ili kueleza bunge hili na wale ambao kwa galari, Kitololo ndugu yake tumekuwa tukishindana naye katika uchaguzi uliopita, na alikuwa ni gwiji kivyake. Kwa hivyo wengi wangefikiria kwamba sitaweza kukubali kupitisha ndugu yake, lakini Bwana Spika, masuala ya Taita Taveta ni makubwa kuliko mtu binafsi, na ndiposa mimi ninasimama hapa nikisema kwamba tunampitisha Kitololo, maana tunajua anaweza, na akifanya tukikunywa maji, basi pia mimi watu wa nchi wa Mbololo watafurahia, maana wamekunywa maji wakati nikiwa kiongozi. Asanteni sana, na naomba kuunga mkono hoja hii.
Honorable Majority Whip.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for having sympathy on me so that I can contribute on this motion. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support Mr. Kitololo or to support this motion. First of all, let me say Mr. Kitololo is a performer. In spite of the challenges he has gone through, Mr. Kitololo is a performer. Wherever Mr. Kitololo has worked, he has honestly left his name well. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying Kitololo has passed through challenges. If it was me appointed to come here for vetting, with the situation he was undergoing, I could not come. I could say let it be. Because, first of all, Kitololo was in, but we thank God he's alive. And then again, Mr. Kitololo was hit hard by the stroke. But still Kitololo is working very hard. And I've not worked whom they were almost even not releasing him to come to Taita. But still Kitololo, because of the challenges he had, he was to come nearer and work in Taita so that he could be assisted by members of his family. So, members, I'm assuring you, Kitololo will bring changes, especially on water issues in Taita Taveta County government. So, members, I want to urge you to support this motion so that you can have Kitololo in place. And Kitololo, I'm sure it could be the kind of chief officer who said, if Kitololo is going to meet challenges, unnecessary challenges, though he did not say it here, but is somebody who is fearless, somebody.
Atasema jambo vile lilivyo na hajali kwamba wewe ni nani ama ni nani. Bora uko kwa sheria, bwana Kitololo atajitetea vilivyo. Vile vile naona ataweza kusaidia pakubwa eneo sana sana la Sagala.
Honorable Chair Lance.
Asante sana bwana Speaker. Mimi siko katika komiti ya maji, lakini nilikuwa wakati tulikuwa tuna vet bwana Kitololo, na nilikuwa ni kwa ustadi mgeno mpaka Golani watu wapate maji safi, maji ya kunywa, kwa sababu maji ni uhai. Asante sana bwana Speaker, na ninaunga huo mjadala mkono. Asante.
Asante sana bwana Kitololo alipokuwa anakuja kufanywa vetting, nilimwangalia afu nikasema huyu bwana anaweza hii kazi kweli. Lakini baada ya kukaa na kumsikiliza niliona kabisa bwana Speaker kwamba usije ukahukumu mtu kabla hujawahi kumsikiliza. Na aliniconvince sana, alinishawishi sana. Na nikaona kabisa kwamba huyu bwana tukimpatia hii kazi ataifanya kwa uadilifu mkubwa sana. Bwana Speaker, mimi kile ambacho naamini zaidi kikubwa zaidi, na nitoa wasiwasi baadhi ya members, tunachohitaji zaidi ni kiongozi mwenye maono mazuri. Sio kiongozi mwenye nguvu ya kukimbia. Unaweza kuwa unakimbia lakini yale maeneo mengine ya Manoa na kule kwingine ambao kuna shida ya maji. Tukimpatia hii kazi na tukampatia support, anaweza kutuchorea maji ya Njoro Kubwa Canal, Taveta ipate maji ya kutosha, na watu wetu wa pale Mwaktau akiongozwa na Mheshimiwa Nancy, ile shida ya maji pale iweze kupungua kidogo. Na Speaker, pia nimesema pia sina budi ila kumuunga mkono huyu bwana kikamilifu, kwa sababu ninakumbuka wakati ulioisha tulipokuwa tunafanya mjadala wa mambo na mawaziri, wakaanguka mawaziri 4. Nilisikia uchungu sana kuona kwamba kuna mtu anaanguka, nikijua kwamba nikihukumu leo kesho na mimi nitahukumiwa. Lakini nilitamka tu neno moja peke yake, nikasema Mheshimiwa Mzuga, nashukuru labda umeangusha hao 4, mimi nitaweza kupata nafasi. Na nashukuru Mungu kikamilifu kwamba ninavyoongea leo Mungu aliona hiyo tunu na akanibariki, na leo mmeweza kunipatishia walau waziri mmoja. So wakati kutokea kwamba yanatupatia moyo katika maisha kwamba kuteleza sio kuanguka, ila ni safari tu itaendelea. Na kwa hiyo mengi, asante sana bwana Speaker, na naunga hoja hii mkono kikamilifu. Bwana Kitololo hapo hii kazi.
Anatoka kwa wadi yangu ya Mbololo, kijiji tu karibu na kwangu, ishu ya maji. Akisema tutafanya nini mahali ya kujapata maji kupate maji. Kwa hivyo Kitololo na muunga mkono, ni shujaa, haogopagi. Hata nafikiri wakati tulikuwa tunamhoji hapa mlisikia sauti yake. Sauti yake ni ya simba, haogopi. Na kama kuna makosa anasema hapa kuna makosa. Hata wale walikuwa wanasimamia maji kule Mbololo walikuwa wanatolewa jasho na Kitololo, wakiulizwa kwa nini, why, kwa nini hakuna maji. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono uteuzi wa Kitololo, najua atafanya kazi nzuri. Asante sana bwana Speaker.
Motion mover reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to reply.
Honorable members, I now put the question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report